Recently, news came out, and by recently I mean like 3, 4 months ago, that the PDX Diamond Project, also known, of course, as the Portland Diamond Project, the entire group slash consortium that's responsible for attempting to bring an MLB franchise here to the Portland metropolitan area, has decided now they want to specifically focus on and emphasize purchasing the RedTail Golf Course or the RedTail Golf Center. Yeah, as a Westside resident, I have a stupid amount of experience with that. Born, raised, I literally have never lived anywhere other than this exact area of Washington County. I have a lot of experience, whether it's commuting, driving into or out of that exact neighborhood. My brother actually lives in an apartment complex next door to the golf course. And let me tell you, it is a mess as it stands right now in terms of just congestion, in terms of the health of the roads, the sidewalks, lacking of sidewalks and crosswalks in certain areas. It's a horrible idea that needs to be fucked with a metal rusty cactus with barbs all over it and go to hell. It is absolutely the worst possible location. It doesn't even make sense logistically, and it would genuinely be a absolute horrific set of results for everybody involved. Not just everybody who has to live and commute through and to and from that exact area, but also for the franchise itself. It really would be absolutely a horrible location for it for endless reasons, including mass transportation reasons, obviously. It is just terrible. For context, the RedTail Golf Course or Golf Center is located between Olson, Hall Boulevard, and of course, Shoals Ferry. And it's yeah, it's not exactly a great place. It's also pretty much right next to 217, and that whole area gets so congested all the time. It's disgusting. And Hall Boulevard, by the way, is in horrendous condition, especially in that exact area and section of road. That particular section is horrific condition. It's so bad. And it just keeps getting worse. And the reason why is because the city of Tigard owns Hall Boulevard there. In fact, it owns the mass majority of Hall Boulevard in its entirety, therefore having the legal responsibility to come up with the funding to be able to repair, maintain, and of course even replace that roadway, which of course they are incapable of even getting close to obtaining that much funding because obviously they need to spend it on their own infrastructure, their own selves, their own citizens. It just doesn't make any sense. However, that's the way it is legally in the state of Oregon. For some reason, Oregon and thus ODOT have allowed it and have it in their code to be able to allow cities to quote unquote buy responsibility and ownership of roadways. Not a good idea. Even Shoals Ferry is in shoddy condition. And Olson's getting there too, obviously, for the same reasons. It's just nonsensical location. It's an absolutely horrific location. And people keep emphasizing the limited transportation options. They're like, oh, there's no transit. Or if they say there's transit, they're like, it's barely any. Technically, that's an exaggeration. I wouldn't say that there's good, reliable transportation options, but there is some. And there's more than what they seem to be leading on to because people have listed these bus lines that they believe they're the only ones that service that area, and it's simply false. They have the 62, which I'd never seen anybody mention yet for some reason, which is really weird. They have the 62, the 56, the 76, the 78, and the 45. That's 5 bus lines that all serve Washington Square Transit Center and thus surrounding roadways. Long story longer, the point is, it absolutely cannot be allowed to happen. It is the worst possible location. Also, for the love of God, please, to all the people in the PDX Diamond Project, stop changing your freaking plans and where you're trying to put a stadium. If you absolutely have to have an MLB stadium, make it make sense. Either put it in the Northwest Industrial District / Montgomery Park, like you originally planned, put it in the Lloyd district or somewhere more central in town if you have to. And if you can't help yourself and you decide you want to have to build a full stadium district, then this video is for you, because I have the perfect plot of land to place a stadium district. And you need to team up with the Hillsboro Hops / Arizona Diamondbacks, because of course the Arizona Diamondbacks own the Hillsboro Hops. This makes perfect sense. The Hillsboro Hops have to have a new stadium completed and ready to go by the 2025-2026 season, so roughly 2026. Guess who else legitimately needs to make sure they have their location, their land locked up to exactly where they're going to build their stadium, and a new stadium finished by around 2026. You want an expansion team, or even a team to move there, you better get moving, and you better finally make a decision. They're in a need for a rush to acquire land and start building their damn stadium. But, of course, so are the Hops. So, here is my suggestion. Here's the current Hillsboro Ballpark, formerly Ron Tonkin Field, aka where the Hops play. This is where they want to build the new Hops Stadium, and they currently are about to officially finalize all the plans and the contingencies and everything else surrounding that with the city of Hillsboro. I believe it would make infinitely more sense if instead, because they both need a plot of land, to buy this whole plot of land. And technically, of course, there's multiple plots. It's actually not very many. There is 5 parcels. So it would be super easy to acquire. Yes, these are small farms and everything. And then, of course, you have the elementary school. But they're all such easy moves. This is the perfect location because the city of Hillsboro would love this. Why? Because the city of Hillsboro would own this land, technically. They'd annex it. So it would be within the city of Hillsboro's limits, if they haven't already. Well, this is that exact neighborhood. So they are hellbent, and they have been for a long while, as you see, Helvetia. They have been wanting very badly to develop this area, at least south of West Union. So, and they've already kind of started to, if you can't tell. I mean, they already own all this land up through here. This is all being redeveloped, see, Intel West Union campus, because they're moving the Aloha campus, and they also need to expand Ron Acres, supposedly, and they got all the funding and support for that already. So this is all going to become Intel up here as well. The point is they're already rapidly trying to develop all this stuff. They already own this land. You might as well let them annex this. And then you, as your MLB, as the MLB is, or your franchises, you get to have joint ownership over this. So this would be your new stadium district. And you want to turn it into an entertainment destination. You want to be able to turn it into, higher density, more mixed use housing, supposedly, and everything else, or mixed use buildings and everything like that, developments. Great. This is almost 400 acres of land. That would be so easy to do. I spent like 4 hours straight yesterday researching and looking up trying to find the average size of an MLB stadium, then the MLB stadium complexes, and of course also that of MILB, so the development leagues, whether it's AAA or all the way through single A. Ironically, it's a lot more difficult to find that information online. It's almost impossible. The only MLB team I was able to find that had any kind of information on that was the Milwaukee Brewers. And of course, most stadiums don't have stadium districts so much as they have a stadium and then oceans of open air parking. In fact, the MLB stadiums proper are about average of around 240 acres of land. MLB averages, of course, closer to around 100 acres. If you put those together, that's 340 acres. This is almost 400. You have another like 40 acres roughly to play with and develop into your high density mixed use developments and your entertainment destinations. Of course, the logical thing would be is to put either transit center up here, some sort of a hub for multimodal transit, whether you have the multimodality once the stadium district is officially opened or not, doesn't matter, as long as it's ready to go. It would be highly intelligent to make sure that you have that option. Any kind of rail, if it's other types of bus services besides typical local city and intercity services, who knows, maybe something else, whether it's, HOV, so rideshare, taxi, whatever, charter, cool. You have that area built into the complex, and it wouldn't take that much space, even with expandability in mind. where it has empty spaces ready to go for other forms of transit, it would only maybe take up this much space. So you'd still have a lot more to be able to develop and play with. So for game days, this makes perfect sense as well to have a little transit area in this for just transit access only, to be able to go and have people from all over the metro area be able to stop in and, of course, attend games or go to the entertainment destinations for whatever it is, concerts or conventions or whatever else. This is the perfect idea. In my opinion, this is absolutely perfect. It's direct access right off of 26. You maintain that just like you have with the Gordon Faber Recreation Complex, Brookwood / Helvetia, and West Union. You have the new developments going in. It's actually right next to industrial and tech hubs, which is fucking perfect. It's just straight shot, not just down 26, but any of these roads, whether Cornell or Baseline down here or Evergreen or, and same with North South. You already have the 52, obviously. Let's say it actually does go to frequent service. Cornell already has frequent service now. I would like to see these go 24 hours, but it's a different story. If Walker gets a line, that's another connectivity point, right? You also connect directly to and from here. And I mean, let's face it, if people are going to be playing or going to these games, they're probably also going to enjoy and be hyped after the games or right before the games to be able to want to do something like that, like go to a baseball field or whatever else, to be able to themselves go act out a fantasy or have fun. There's a lot of benefits to all this stuff, and obviously it gets them a lot more accessibility, and not only to the teams, to the fan bases, obviously, but also a lot more accessibility to resources, vice versa. So I think that if they really are determined to build stadiums out here on the west side and in suburbia, this is the correct location to do it, because Hillsboro's already going to be gung-ho on this. They're going to love it if they can access into their land. And with this, they guaranteed would absolutely ensure that with you guys, yes, they would do that. So building the new Hillsboro Hops Stadium here, as well as, of course, the new MLB, so full-scale MLB stadium here, would be the most logical choice of them all. Especially if you want to develop new high-density mixed-use entertainment districts with some, some of that obviously gets mixed use residential in it. It makes perfect logical sense. This would also fit perfectly with what so many of us in the West Side and the Portland area in general are demanding, which is give us properly higher density housing than what we're getting. That would fit in perfectly as well. And also, I'm all for an entertainment district as long as it has an amphitheater in it. Put an amphitheater in here, like a proper amphitheater. Or at the very least, if you don't do that, make sure that the MLB stadium will be used as an amphitheater. And if the times that it's being occupied, but you want to be able to still host a concert or something like that, then host it in the MLB stadium that the Hops have when they're not playing home games. That would make the perfect sense. There's only one negative I can think of that any of these two ownership groups could possibly come up with that they'd be upset about. And that is, oh, this wouldn't work because the Hops are owned by the Arizona Diamondbacks, and we'd be having our own franchise that wouldn't be the Diamondbacks. And we'd have joint ownership between two rival franchises? That doesn't make any sense. But it kind of does. Because, though, yes, that's a problem, I don't see how it make any sense, including and especially on a business sense financially, for the two teams to have issues with each other for it. Sure, you'd have joint ownership with it, along with the city of Hillsboro and probably Washington County, but who the hell cares? If two rival teams are jointly owning the same property, you both benefit greatly from it. So who cares? Furthermore, again, the MLIB, the Development League Stadium and team, obviously is not going to have any kind of real competition with the MLB team because, again, they're at different levels. One is a development team, and one is a full level team. So there's no real competition or rivalry there anyway. So it should not create a problem. That would just be being petty as hell and very immature about it and irrational. So therefore, I don't see that, if anybody brings it up, that is an irrelevant, illogical argument that I do not see being a problem at all. It could happen. A lot of people these days, especially sports franchise owners, are very petty like that, but I don't see that being a logical reason to complain about it. this is my proposal. I think that this is the correct place to purchase in a joint partnership, because they both, again, need a new stadium ready to go by 2026. So it's the perfect time and perfect opportunity for both sides, both camps. The PDX Diamond Project and all involved interest in that, so MLB to PDX movement, as well as the Arizona Diamondbacks / City of Hillsboro with the ownership of the Hillsboro Hops and getting their new stadium. You both need your new stadiums by 2026. You're both MLB related businesses. Buy this land together and develop your stadiums together in your own stadium district. It makes perfect sense. So just for further context, for the pickier people out there, I'm going to put up some screenshots I have on the video, of course, so you guys can see the research I did, especially when it comes down to mapping. This is the total size and example of the Gordon Faber Recreation Complex in its entirety. This is the genuine size of the heart, the main portion, the center portion. The average footprint in size of a stadium, a MLIB stadium, I found to be around roughly 7 acres. So 7 acres versus 25 acres. That's not much. So if you just focused on that and say another 50 acres of parking, God forbid, you'd still have a couple hundred, 300 acres of land to toy with and to develop into your entertainment district. You could build an amphitheater in that. Those probably have I'd estimate an average footprint of probably themselves about 5 to 8 acres. You know, if you have a transit facility, that'd probably, like, proper size, especially with expansion in mind in the future, that'd probably average around anywhere between 5 to 10 acres as well. Preferably probably 10 acres as you develop that area, unfortunately, because it's inevitable they're going to keep doing that. And if it's high density like that, which it should be, especially right there next to 26, US 26, which we call Sunset Highway or Sunset, that is the most logical thing to do. So it makes perfect sense for them to do this. And you have plenty of space to develop like that. You can even put in parks that you also could use for busking or for smaller concerts and obviously various other big events. They could start hosting a big farmers market out there. And think about it. You're right against and next to so many of the farms that actually attend farmers markets. It's direct access. So it makes the most sense ever to actually have a big farmers market / just street market there as well. An area for that. I think that would be amazing. And then host various festivals there. You could have a festivals ground. I just think it could not make more sense. And you'd still have, like I said, even with all that in mind, you still have at least a solid 100 to 200 acres worth to develop into proper multimodal, transit-oriented, mixed-use, high-density, entertainment-focused development. And I just think that's the most beautiful thing in the world. RedTail Golf Center. This is a massive golf center. Look at it. And it's also right next to this one, which is super fancy and high-end. Oh, not for us, we peasants. This is for the rich people who live amongst the course's vicinity. And of course the people up in the West Hills who have the money. But not for us. We plebeians. We serfs. It's a fucking massive honk and chunk of land. Like, it's just fucking Titanic. And it's ridiculous. In fact, now that I think about it, technically saying I thought there was more than one apartment complex that abutted the golf center. Apparently not. So you can already see and tell exactly what complex I'm talking about that my brother lives in. It's this one right here. Yeah. And it's, yeah, exactly. And can you figure out where the Dutch Brothers is? It's right here. I hate everything. And I so hope it doesn't fucking happen and they don't sell it to them. But God forbid, if they're allowed to fucking build a stadium complex on the RedTail golf course here, I hope to fucking hell and back that is when they officially and especially forced TriMet to expand this into an actual transit center this size, take up most of the empty parking for this size here in this section, because I mean most of it's always empty. So yeah, take up this as a full transit center, and then give bus only lanes. Make incredible sense for even Greenberg. So just the entire route, at least for the 76 and 78. And again, same for at least the entirety of Shoals Ferry here for the 62 would make perfect sense. They have to be they have to force TriMet against their will, obviously, to do this. And in fact, they should make the PDX Diamond Project people pay into doing exactly that and improving and adding frequent BRT transit to the area. I mean, you even have Allen Boulevard right here, right? Like I said, it's just up here. This is Denny right here. These are major thoroughfares. They all come together. Old Shoals Ferry. I mean, that's kind of a cluster. Look at this. Intersection. What the fuck is that about? But only to give to another intersection. What are you doing? It's so annoying. So yeah, this is Garden Home Road, Olson, Multnomah Boulevard, of course, which I am actually weirdly familiar with. Taylor's Ferry. 99, 217. I mean, Shoals Ferry, like I said, you got all the things in one place. You have immense traffic generators and congestion generators like this. And obviously this. And this. And it's right next to all this of Beaverton, and then downtown Beaverton, and then obviously this mess up here, which the world's worst intersection. Is it 1? Is it 2? Who the fuck knows? Is literally where Olson, Shoals Ferry, and Beaverton Hillsdale, aka Farmington Road, all or Capitol Highway, all come together. I hate my scroll roll so much. Look at this horror show, by the way. I want to make an entire video about it. This time, I've been playing it for a year. I need to actually literally travel there. Just go there. And just navigate that intersection on foot. Let alone in a car. Just to really give you the fullest perspective of how much of a clusterfuck this is. And how illogistical this is. It's the worst intersection in the fucking world. And it's also, by the way, as you probably expect, the deadliest section of roadway and the deadliest intersection in the entirety of Oregon. But yeah, and this is why I mentioned Beaverton Hillsdale being so close. Because it's a lot closer than people think. And, moreover, again, 2 of the major primary roadways that people would use, especially coming from Portland proper, to get to the stadium, if it was at the RedTail Golf Center, would literally be Olson and Shoals Ferry, which make up a bulk load of this fucked intersection. So you'd be inducing so much more demand on this clusterfuck. People driving from Portland proper and east of the area, north of the area, and Vancouver and all that, Washougal, whatever, to get to games here. And you know there's going to be an entrance over here. It'd be a south or east entrance, I guess, off of Olson. They're going to put it, they're going to put an entrance off of here. Not just off of Shoals Ferry only. It's going to be here too. That's an inevitability. And they're probably going to try to put one somewhere on Hall as well. So they have 3 entrances to the entertainment destination of the stadium if they get what their wish here. Plus, again, you also have this. I mean, what's even going on with this? Like, what the fuck, man, is this clusterfuck with 217 and the interchanges with it? And then you still have Washington Square Road right here. But it's one ways. So you have this one here to enter, and you have this one to exit the same roadway. There's just too many. Like, look at all the intersections here. You have this intersection, but that leads immediately to this intersection, but it also leads to this intersection, which connects to this one, which connects to that one. There's like no space between any intersections or interchanges for that matter in this entire complex and area. So you have that to contend with. You have this one down here, which is another interchange, which is right next to this interchange, which is next to that one, which this one is a very sprawled, spread out one, just like Shoals Ferry's is. What in the hell are we doing? And Greenberg is super short, but then it has all these intersections with all the other roads that go through Washington Square's complex. which people you know are going to use to cut through and cut off of the main intersections to try to get shortcuts. You have all of this here, the locust intersections with Hall. And of course, you have all the intersections with Olson. You have all that. And what are people that live in these areas supposed to fucking do? Either, you know? And all the people that are actually working here are just simply trying to do commerce. Like, it doesn't make any sense for them either. It's already a hellfire. Why the fuck would you induce more demand for a, 30,000+ people all at once for 81 different days in a year to go there for the games? And that's just to the stadium for the sport. Inevitably, if it's an entertainment district, you're also going to have a bunch of other things. You might have an amphitheater. You might have nightclubs. You might have, obviously, concerts. Whether you have the amphitheater or not, or, some other nighttime concert venue, entertainment venue, it doesn't matter. You're still going to have concerts inevitably at the stadium as well. So you have however many, God knows how many concerts in a year, maybe 100 to 300 concerts in a year as well, probably closer to 100, 150 a year, on top of the 81 games you have a year. That's most of a year now already occupied. And then whatever other uses it has 24/7, 365 as an entertainment destination. You have both of those to contend with if you let them build this year. So that's pretty much 365 days a year. You have high, like wildly higher induced demand than it even has now for the entire area. There's nothing in logistics, whether it's business, transit, traffic, or city planning related, that makes a damn bit of sense for anything like that to go into this location at all. And even if they did actually put in a true BRT system, but even if they did do that and they expanded the transit center down here, Washington Square and everything, I guarantee it would make the slightest positive impact at all on that induced demand. It still wouldn't work. It still wouldn't make it any more logical or sensible to have it there or defensible. It just doesn't work. So, in my opinion, this has to happen. If it's gonna happen, and you're both gonna get stadiums, specifically the MLB franchise, expansion franchise, and Diamond Project do get their way, and they do get an MLB stadium district to be built, an entertainment destination. This has to be it. There is no other option than to have them together, joint, because they both need their stadiums, as I aforementioned, by 2026. They both need them up, ready to go, ready to play baseball in. Build one right here, and I still think this is the image I have in my head, is it's diagonal. The MLB stadium, let's say it takes up this much of the land, and then the MILB stadium, like right here. Make it interesting, make it diagonal, and actually have home plates be opposite of each other. I think that in a diagonal fashion would make a lot of sense. I think it'd be really cool. And actually, I think that it makes more sense for marketing too, in a way, because you get by far the best views if you're both teams from both stadiums. Because instead of looking at mostly the city, I mean, you're still going to see plenty of Hillsboro. You're probably going to see Corntown. See the airport, actually. Takeoffs and landings. That's kind of cool. Like, you'd be able to get direct views of all of this, depending on where you're sitting in your angle. I just think that's super cool. And then, obviously, being able to face this way, whichever stadium gets that, you're facing directly into the West Hills and the actual Cornelius Pass, which is right here. You'd be facing Forest Park, right? You'd be facing all of this forest land, these ridges. It'd be so cool to have those views, And of course, they're now talking about and projecting that they want to start building another rail line of some kind. Hopefully it's heavy metro this time, or something like SkyTrain, and not another fucking Max. That'd be cool. That runs the entirety of 26. So it would probably start at sunset, and then instead of going around that weird tunnel like it does, like this, a couple of tunnels, it would instead probably go like this, tunnel, and then come out in the median of 26, since it stays separated from this point on, and just run along 26, even where it needs to on the sides, but run along 26 the entire way, at the very least, of course, until Gordon Faber or more likely somewhere around Helvetia/Brookwood Parkway. And guess what? If you're building your stadium district here, you could literally, that's the point of the multimodal thing, right? You could actually have a rail connection here at the entertainment destination, at the new development complex for both MLB stadiums. I want nothing to do with displacing or getting rid of farmland and expansion like this. I'm just saying, since it's inevitable, the city of Hillsboro, much like most of the other cities in the metropolitan area, are absolutely going to make sure that they get further urban growth boundary expansion and further land acquisition so that they can annex those pieces of land and develop them. It's inevitable. Hillsboro, for over a decade straight, has made very clear this exact tract of land they want to purchase and then zone and develop. This gives, therefore, that inevitability that much more viability and logic. And again, it's obviously clear that the MLB is going to require an MLB expansion project like PDX Diamond Project to acquire the necessary land to be able to build a viable stadium or stadium entertainment complex, obviously. And the MLB themselves should love this idea because it's a consolidation of a pre-existing major league team that needs their new MILB stadium, in this case the Hillsboro Hops of the Arizona Diamondbacks, as well as a new expansion franchise / a franchise that moves here to Portland. It consolidates both into one, and they both need, like I said, right, as we've consistently established repetitively throughout this video at different points, they both need a new stadium to be complete by 2026 if they want and get to stick around and or get what they want and need. They both need that in order to either exist if you're the Hops, or to get a team if you're the Diamond Project. There's literally nothing to dislike about this. It is the perfect opportunity. The timing could not be more impeccable. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. I would love to see and have a discussion with you. I would love to see other people discussing this and what your guys' thoughts are on the PDX Diamond Project, on the MLB and baseball in general, even being here in Portland, in the Portland area, as well as the PDX Diamond Project and their constant changeability as to where they're trying to acquire land. Because it's RedTail, it's obviously Terminal 2 up here in the Northwest Industrial District. And it was the Lloyd District, Lloyd Center. And now it's, they can't make up their fucking minds. Now they're absolutely the most determined they've ever been, at least in public verbiage, to make this it. And it's the worst idea they've had yet. So, like I said, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this too, including why I'm wrong. And this is actually the best possible location for a stadium entertainment venue complex. But yeah, I just want to hear honest thoughts and have those discussions. So let me know what you think about what I've said, what I've conveyed, my concept and my idea for what should happen. And yeah, like what you think about this current proposal to buy the RedTail Golf Center here in Beaverton. And now I think about it, I'm trying to repeat myself in different ways and I didn't realize until now. So I'm going to shut up. See you around. Stay safe out there or not. It's your choice. And yeah, get hit with a bat in the head, bud.